So she's the co-owner of a soccer team, the DC Power Football Club.
Oh.
She has a sneaker deal with Reebok. She was at this year's Met Gala.
Oh, yes.
She has her own give back foundation. I believe it's called the Angel Reese Foundation.
Oh, nice.
She's the only basketball player, speaking of Wicked, she's the only basketball player with her own marketing push for the Wicked movie. She is the brand ambassador for for Reese's by Hershey's, the chocolate brand. And right now she has her own exclusive apparel line and cereal box with them. And I'm pretty sure I haven't gone over the total list of everything that she has achieved. Welcome to another episode of the Two Naija Girls podcast. I am one Naija girl and I have my other Naija girl with me,
Jubilee. Hi.
Jubilee, and I'm Cynthia, by the way. I don't know why I forgot to say that. And I just wanted to point you guys to, I don't even know what to call this, but Jubilee and I are rocking Wicked colors right now. Wicked just got released. The musical movie just got released in cinemas yesterday, literally. And we didn't even plan this.
At all.
Right,
like,
Jubilee?
literally, not at all. And what's funny is the fact that you brought it to my attention, because I would have just gone about the day going
Yep.
and you're like, wait. You're like, hey, we're coordinating. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yep. Right. So I actually plan to wear pink. And the reason why I plan to wear pink is today we're talking about the Barbie herself, Miss Angel Reese. And we wanted to talk about the era of the multi-hyphenate, the
Yes.
era of the multi-talented.
Yes.
I thought about it. I was like, there's no better person to center that discussion around right now than the Barbie herself, Miss Angel Reese. And so before we get started, I had to write it down because you can't memorize all that Angel Reese has done outside of basketball, right?
But that's
Before
a
we
good
get into
thing.
the
That's a good thing. That's a really good thing.
It is a good thing.
Yeah.
It is a good thing. She's crushing it. I remember even you, Jubilee, like she's one of the only basketball players, you know?
Yeah,
Or
honestly.
one-
Yeah. She and the other lady, see, let me tell you something. And it's no shade. Truly, I just always forget the lady's name.
Caitlin Clark.
Carla. Yes, her.
Caitlin Clark.
Yes, her.
Yes.
I barely even know, like, honestly, I barely even know the NBA stars. Like,
Yeah.
they're not like celebrity. I don't really know them like that. But hey, I'm learning and I love it.
Yep, you're learning, and Angel Reese is one of the ones you know. So I'm
Yes.
going to go over the list of just things she's done outside of basketball. So she's the co-owner of a soccer team, the DC Power Football Club.
Oh.
She has a sneaker deal with Reebok. She was at this year's Met Gala.
Oh, yes.
She has her own give back foundation. I believe it's called the Angel Reese Foundation.
Oh, nice.
She's the only basketball player, speaking of Wicked, she's the only basketball player with her own marketing push for the Wicked movie. She was at this year's Paris Fashion Week. She has her own podcast with, as of the time of this recording, close to 100,000 followers, subscribers.
I've seen a few clips too. Which, yeah.
Right. She has a brand deal with Beats by Dre. She spearheaded a collaboration between her team, the Chicago Sky, and Mattel's Barbie earlier this year. They had like a Barbie day in one of their home games. She is the brand ambassador for for Reese's by Hershey's, the chocolate brand. And right now she has her own exclusive apparel line and cereal box with them. And I'm pretty sure I haven't gone over the total list of everything that she has achieved.
Especially because she's like I feel like, I mean, she's at the beginning of her career. That's what
Yes.
To have accomplished that much. That's really good. That's really, really good.
We know that the phrase jack of all trades has been misused recently. But did you know, Jubilee, and did you know, viewer, that the full jack of all trades quote is actually jack of all trades, master of none, but still much better than a master of one.
Oh, okay. See, now that last part, I don't think, maybe I've heard it before and I just never, like, I do not know, but that sounds very new to me, if that makes sense.
So that's the full quote. So the quote that actually was used to empower people who know how to do many things, for some reason became a phrase that was used to disempower them.
Yeah, because you don't tell us the complete sentence. So now
because people don't,
we just stick with, but yeah.
Right, because people don't say the complete thing. I was at an event a couple of weeks ago with all these, business women, and one of the business women she has businesses across different niches, across different, business spaces. And someone brought that up, jack of all trades, master of none. And I just had such a visceral reaction to it, because I'm a jack of all trades too. And so I told them the complete quote. And that was the first time they were hearing the complete quote. So what are your thoughts, Jubilee, on the whole like jack of all trades mentality and how that's used to disempower people who know how to do many things?
Yeah, I think so here's the thing. I really believe that there's so many people who are like multi-passionate, where it's like they have so many ideas and they have so many ideas and they want to like work on those different ideas. So I think where it comes into play for me is there are different kinds of people, as opposed to like, because there's some people who are passionate about a lot of things, but they do not know how to execute all of those things all at once. Why? Because they do not know how to outsource. They do not know how to ask for help. They do not know how to use not use, because now use just sounds like you're trying to use people. They do not know how to take advantage of the people.
Collaborate.
Yes, on their team or things like that. And then there's people who know how to do that. And that's why they're very successful in that. Because the truth about it is, at the end of the day, just generally as human beings, if you're working on 10 projects all at the same time, one is going to suffer. Because at the end of the day, one is going to need your attention at some point and it's going to need way more of your attention, and then the other one is going to start bleeding. But if you're able to actually collaborate with other people or build a team that works with you, then it's easier for you to be able to give it that bird's eye view where you're able to look at the different pieces and put them together. Whereas there are people that I know who are so, like, their ideas, they come up with the best ideas. Like, I've met some people who come up with the best ideas. And then I'm like, maybe a month later, 2 months later, I'm like, oh, what happened to all those ideas? And because they felt overwhelmed by so many of those things, they don't work. The things don't work because the projects are suffering, or whatever it is that they're passionate about in that moment is suffering as well. So I think it's more the person and knowing how to manage those projects. I think that's what comes into play. Let's give an example. You and I working on this podcast, right? We have like shared responsibilities, and there are moments when it's like, oh, don't worry, take your time. Oh, I know you need this, I know you need that, take your time, let me help you. Because at the end of the day, it's almost humanly impossible to do certain things, and you're gonna need help, or you're gonna say, you know what, I need a minute, or hey, I need. But because there's that collaboration and that conversation, it makes the project more successful. But I think that from what you're saying about Angel and the things that she's handling, I think she has a good team. I think she does. And I think one of the things that stood out to me, I saw a clip of her interview with Law Roach. And during that interview, it was a short clip, and it gave me a sense of who she was. The reason why I say that is because during that clip, they were having conversations, and she had asked him for feedback about her fashion, right? And then he went ahead and told her the things that, if he was the one styling her, he told her the things that he would do. And then he went ahead to tell her also, critique the things that she's doing right now, right? And why it's not working. And like why it's not, it's not giving high class, it's not giving all of that. And then he explained to her why it's not going to work, especially, and he told her, these are the things that I will do if I'm your stylist. And it will make a bigger appeal because you have the body for it. And I saw the way she received it. That was something that stood out to me. And she was like, oh, okay. And then she listened to it and she was like, oh, okay. And she asked follow-up questions to further understand what he meant. And then she said, oh, okay. So now whenever I see a clip of her podcast, I never scroll past it. I watch it now. Only because now I'm intrigued. Only because, again, see how you said she appeals to different people at different audiences at different levels. For me, it's not her basketball that stands out to me. It does stand out to me, but it's not the thing that I'm following the most. But now she has caught me with her personality and her temperament. Now that has caught me because I'm like, these days people are a bit more combative in conversation, even in interviews. It's almost like everybody's just trying to rip everybody apart. And I love how just that. I really do. Yeah.
The first thing I want to pick up on is her reaction to criticism, right? I feel like people who react viscerally to criticism deep down, and don't take this the wrong way, have self-esteem issues. And that's why they react to criticism the way they react to criticism. I feel like the more confident you are, the less reactive you are to criticism, because you know you're good. You know you're good either ways. Of course, there are areas where you need to improve. I know it's good. There's just a difference in the creative vision between me and you, right? So that comes from my confidence in my product. It comes from my confidence in knowing that the things that I do are good. If you disagree with them, it's not a statement on me. There's just a difference in creative vision that I have to tweak.
Yes.
Right? So I feel like Angel Reese has a lot of confidence. For me, that's one of the first things about her that jumps at me. For someone so young, she's only 23. For someone so young, she's only 23. It's hard to believe, right? For someone so young to be navigating the spaces she's navigating, being around the people she's been around, she also receives a lot of criticism from just randos, right? So we're talking about criticism, constructive criticism from Law Roach. She gets a lot of destructive criticism from just randoms online, right? But to continue to keep her head high, she has a very strong belief in herself. Her foundation of confidence is very strong and unshaken. In the same way, similarly, I feel like when you also have confidence, it's easy to accept help too. Because I feel like some people feel like when they need help, it's because they can't do what they're asking for help for. They want to do it all. They want to do everything, right? I think that's also a confidence issue where you have to be confident enough in your own goodness and know that you're enlisting help, just like you said, because you want to cover more ground than only yourself can cover. Right? As a creative, I always say to people, I say creativity is finite, right? There's a finite amount of creativity. And so for me, I as much help and creativity as I can get, I will soak it in, right? And the same way she was with Law Roach, she's the same way on the court. So one of the things that stood out last year about Angel Reese is how a lot of the veteran players just loved her. Asia Wilson, Nafisa Collier, Brianna Stewart, Neka Ogumike, Derricka Hamby, and it's just because of her humility.
I'm like, you're listing them. I'm like, Ghibli, just nod and agree.
Just smile and wave.
I don't know nobody.
Just smile and wave. Smile and wave. Don't worry, I'll put pictures. When I'm editing, I'll put photos of them so you guys can connect the names with the faces. But the point I was trying to make is they all love her, and it's because of how. Some people may call it humility, but it's not humility. She's smart. Like Angel Reese is fucking smart. Excuse my French, right? She's very, very smart. And so after every game, she would walk up to a veteran and just talk to them. I remember one of the games she played with Tina Charles. She walked up to Tina Charles and talked to Tina Charles. She even talked about her conversation with Tina Charles and told her the tricks Tina Charles taught her. Guess what? Her next few games, her game was better. Because she was applying the tips that Tina Charles taught her, right? And she talked about it in her interviews too. She was like, yeah, Tina Charles told me this and I've been applying that and my game has been better, right? And then, yes, you picked up on it. She has a very strong team around her. Her agent is actually married to a Nigerian guy. Jenny Nogonaya.
It's okay. I knew it. I knew there had to be Nigerian involved in this. That's all I have to say. And I know some people will be angry right now, but I knew. Let me tell you, every time I smell success somewhere, I'm like, is there a Nigerian somewhere? Are you know what I mean? Are you 7 degrees away from a Nigerian? Because
you understand?
That's the only reason. That's the only reason. All of you can fight yourselves, but that's the only reason. Thank you.
I can't lie. I was the same way. Again, the event I covered a couple of weeks ago was hosted by a Nigerian lady. She was a convener. And again, in that space, it was clear, like the difference between how we move and how other folk move. And again, like Jubilee said, no offense, was different, right? So yes, her agent, Jenny Nogonaya, Igbo man, Jenny is married to a Nigerian guy. And her agent is, like, she just has so much vision. She just has so much vision. And I don't know how she makes her pitches. But I know that right now, I told you guys I was going to miss out on some things from the list, right? She has a deal with Snapchat. Angel Reese gets paid to own a Snapchat account. And how did that start? She just tweeted to her followers one day. I think there was someone like impersonating her on Snapchat. And so she tweeted to her followers. She was like, I don't have a Snapchat account, yo. Like whoever is like, sending your snaps, it's not me. And I think her agent just picked up on that. And next thing you know, a couple of weeks later, she's in partnership with Snapchat.
That's smart.
So, right, that's very smart, yeah. So all that said, Jubilee, I feel like there's still people who, like I said, their rebuttal to people who do many things is still jack of all trades, master of none, right? And I don't necessarily agree with that statement. I feel like you can be, to an extent, a master at the things you have a passion for.
No, yeah. So
yes.
To be honest with you, sorry to cut you off, but to be honest with you,
Yeah.
no, here's the thing.
See,
let me explain something to you, right? For example, I've met people who are very talented at, they can cook. Like the chefry of the chefry with them is just
you too.
Is just amazing.
You too.
Yes, but
Jubilee can cut it up in the kitchen. Just
like,
saying, but yeah,
can really cook.
Yeah.
And then this, like, you meet them somewhere else, like the way that their writing is, you just be like, oh my God, who the hell are you? Did you know Shakespeare? Are you part of his family?
Yeah.
Like just so many things that they're masters at. But I truly think that, right, you can be master at those things. But the thing about these things is you can do them by yourself. I think that's where it really comes into play. You can become the writer, you can become the chef, you can become the this, you can become the that, and then keep doing them, but you're going to suffer. Because those are too many projects all at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, for me, at least as I see, the difference is if I want to start a chefing company, and I want to have a writing company, and I want to go ahead and have a filming company, and then I want to go ahead and say, you know, I'm going to have a podcast. What I would do is get people who can be in those places when I'm not there. Now, what makes you, and that's what I think, what makes you the true master is the fact that I can walk into my chefing company, they have the recipe, they're doing things, I'm tasting, I'm like, oh, okay, that tastes nice. Oh, something's off. Check what's happening. Because I'm so good at this. This is something I can wake up and do in my sleep. Do you get what I mean? I can just be like, oh, something's wrong. Something's off. I don't like what's happening here. Let's start it all over again. Let's say, for example, for you especially, right? You spend so much time filming and editing where it's like when you're watching something, it's easy for you to just see where the edit problem is. Like something has jumped. Oh, wait, something jumped. It's easy for you to catch it. Why? Because you become a master at it. And then now if you have a company where you have 5 editors, right? You cannot edit 5 projects all at the same time. And then you're doing something else. You cannot be there at the you cannot. But what you can do is oversee. And that's how because I think that there's an interpretation of because you're the master of that, that means you have to be the only one who does it. You can also oversee because that's why you're good at it. You're really good at it where you do not have to spend 20 hours like everybody else would. You just need an hour where it's like, put the project together. Let me see a rough draft. You look at it, you can easily piece like, oh, take that out, put this in here, take this out, move that here, move that there, and then keep it going. And this is how like billionaires, successful people, this is how they operate. Because it's
that part.
You have to outsource people. You have to get a team. You have to get people to work with you because you can truly by yourself. You cannot do it because it's physically impossible. It's not even it's just physically impossible for you to run 5 businesses and give them your 100% without. But when you have people there, it's easier for you to give you your 100%.
Being good at it also helps you train them. Because a lot of those people you hire, in the beginning at least, will not perform those tasks to your liking. Because you're so high level at what you do. You have so much experience at what you do. There was this lady that said something that I picked up on a couple of weeks ago. I was talking to her, an older lady.
Yeah.
And she said whenever she's hiring someone, she always thinks to herself, like, what's the highest amount of money this person can cost me? And can I cushion that? Right? And she's like, if this person can so she'll calculate the highest amount of money. Let's say that's $800, for instance. But she'll be like, but that person will never make that mistake again. Because if that person makes that mistake, then we have a problem. But they will probably never make that mistake again, right? And because, I say this because there's some people who consider themselves perfectionists because they're like, I don't want to delegate because they won't do it as well as I would. Heck yeah, they won't do it as well as you would. It's there's no avoiding that. Like people will likely not do, will not perform.
Oh no, and even when they're their best, it will still not be enough. Unfortunately,
it will still not
because it's your baby, it's your project.
Because it's your baby, like it will still never be enough. But again, you have to figure out, like I said, like what's that? What could it cost me, right? And as long as you can cushion that cost, go ahead and delegate. And this is why, like you said, rich people have teams around them, people doing every single thing. There's someone for everything, right? To help them function better. Now, that said, I think there's something to also be said for, like, what are you a jack of all trades at, right? Because I feel like there's always a core. There's always one thing that brings everything together, right? So what a lot of people see as jack of all trades is not really a jack of all trades. You're a master at one thing and you're able to express that one thing in many ways. For me, for instance, that core talent is storytelling. Now, I can express storytelling with acting. I can express storytelling with music, singing, songwriting. I can express storytelling with editing. I can express storytelling with content creation. I can express storytelling in many ways. Someone looking at me might say I'm a jack of all trades because I'm an actor, I'm a producer, blah, 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 blah. But it's just that one core thing that I'm expressing in different ways, right? For someone like Angel Reese, I think her core thing is just personality. And she's expressing that personality in many different ways. For most celebrities, I think that's what it is. For most people who become celebrities, right? They have a personality that people gravitate toward. And so that personality they can split that personality across multiple spaces. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree with you like 100%. That's the truth. I really do. I think that at the core, there's something. Like there's something that there's just one thing that just keeps you grounded. Right? And then that's where you start to ask the question, from this one thing, how can I create 10 things? Like how can then 10 things come out of all of these things, right? And that's where the thinking comes in. But at the core, there's something, because that thing that's at the center is what motivates you.
Yeah.
But then I truly believe also, truly, that there's people that... So here's the thing I've come to learn in this adult life. Talent is useless if you don't know how to manage anything.
Well, true.
Talent is as useless as you, like, let me tell you, very useless. If you say from now to next day, let's just say you and Michael Jackson had the same talent, right? Same talent. But every day you're sitting at home and telling people about your talent and not doing anything about it. But all you do is talk about that talent. Nothing is happening. Then that means you have chosen that your talent is for the house, and there's nothing bad with it. Maybe
for you and your family members.
Yes, maybe that's how. But truly, maybe that's how you want it to be. Maybe you and your family members want to enjoy the talent.
Yeah.
But the person that will always get ahead of you, sometimes they're not even the ones with the talent. That's the interesting part.
True.
Because the thing about it is, like, you have to know how to take that thing
and make something out of it.
The challenge for me is that sometimes I sit down in conversations with people and all day all I hear is, oh my God, man, the places I will go to with my talent, if not because I am my brother, my sister.
Excuses.
Somebody with less than that talent is doing this thing that you're complaining about. Then I'll ask, and then I go further to ask, and then they start to get irritated because I go further and ask. I say, okay, so what have you done lately with it? Because I know you're saying you want to start using it. What have you done lately? Have you even gathered your friends around to listen to this song that you're trying to produce? Let them give you feedback. Start from there. Have you even done that? No. So I think that there's like being a multi-passionate, where you have every day you have an idea, you're putting it in a jar, and if you don't do nothing with it, you might as well just leave that talent there or borrow somebody. No, really. Or give somebody time, because I know that there's people who are like, you know what I mean, that will just take. I've met some people that I'm just like, if I could sing like you right now, I'm like, Maria Carey will be looking for me. But okay, so but no. So here's the thing, also, right? That just for me, at least from the Nigerian point of view.
There you go. I was gonna ask you, because you have noticed, like, Jubilee is the one that's able to. She always goes as a Nigerian from a Nigerian point of view, and I love it. I was gonna ask, like, girl, you always have a Nigerian point of view. Spill.
I love my people. So let me tell you, from a Nigerian point of view, let me tell you one thing that I love. See, Our parents were dangerous. I can tell you that. Just dangerous. Where it's like, if you're talking about, well, at least we came from a generation where now it's more, parents are more lenient, much easier, much cooler.
Yeah.
But I came from a generation where when I wanted to study acting or film, the whole family wanted to have meeting. I'm wasting my brain. I'm wasting my talents. I'm wasting myself away. Wither. But here's the thing. If you take anything to a Nigerian, your friends, one thing Nigerians will not do is come and be lying to you about talent that you don't have. That's why I love them. Because if you don't have talent, they'll say, the Jesus ones will even try to tell you in a Jesus way, like maybe you should look at other things, Right. But for your parents, for your family members, they start calculating. Is this talent going to make you money? And if it's not sounding like this is a talent that is going to make you millions of billions of dollars, all of a sudden they will tell you, this is not the talent for you. So two things here.
It's not your calling.
Two things here. One, if you're able to push through all that noise from your family members, because, oh my God, the world is your oyster. The way you will make it in this life.
It's kind of like that trains you.
No, it trains you. It hardens you for the world. Because any kind of bully that's coming your way, you have already been bullified.
Right, you've already been bullied by your own people. It be your own
But
people.
here's the second thing too. They quickly tell you when that thing is not working. So that way you can sit down and address yourself. Because this is one of the reasons why people's friends will be lying to them, and before you know, they will go and unalive themselves and do things because people around them told them that they were very talented.
Right.
Because Nigerians will say, if people wait in your house, no tell you. Maybe people wait there for outside. No content say you be madman. Which means that if the people in your house are not telling you the truth, don't go outside. So that way, the people outside will not think that you are mad. You have no family members. Because when you're think about it, even when you're dressing to go to church and you're wearing a certain thing, your mother will tell you, why do you dress like you have no family members? Like you're not coming from somebody's house. Like, so my dear, so I think it's from the Nigerian angle, things like this can prepare you so that way when you enter into the world, people can be saying whatever they want to say. You can have 20 talents and then just be talenting it out. And you can know the one that's not going to work for you. You've already tried it at home.
Right. So a few things, right? The first thing is, like you said, right? There's some people who may not have that talent that they think they have. I'm not going to name names, but there's a family member. There's a family member that I have who swore from heaven to earth that they could sing. And in my opinion, and in the opinion of many, they couldn't sing.
Okay.
And that family member pursued music for a long time, planted a lot of money into that musical career only for it to go nowhere. Oh. So what's the balance there? Where, because the reason why the family member sunk a lot of money into the music industry was because the family was loving and supportive, but the talent was not there. So what's the balance there? That's one thing. The second part is, so they're the ones who have talents that think they don't have. But on the other hand, they are the ones who actually have talent, but other people don't believe in that talent. And then this is where a bit of self-belief might be necessary. A bit of, for me, for instance, Jubilee, I've been a business owner since 2020. There are some people who don't believe in that. There are some people who believe, go get a job, and things like that. But I believe enough in what I'm doing to stick with it, right? And testimonies are coming, y'all. Like, not on this episode, but testimonies are coming, y'all. Things have been clicking.
Yes.
Recently, I've been entering some spaces. Like, God has a way of, like, surprising me with dreams that I didn't even, like. So it's like the way that you dream a thing is not the way that it unfolds all the time.
But also, slow and steady always wins the race. That's one thing I've learned.
Right. So to that point, what is the balance there between, there are people who have talent, who think they have a talent they don't have. We see examples of them on shows like American Idol. Like, why are you auditioning for American Idol? You clearly cannot sing, right? But then there are also the ones who, so the question is belief greater than talent, or is talent greater than belief? Answer me.
No, I don't think any is greater than the other. but you need a little bit of both. That's
like
what
that.
I think.
A balance.
Yes, you need a balance
two.
between both. I don't think anything's greater because the thing about self-belief is you can self-believe yourself into debt. You can self-believe yourself into lack of talent because you know what I mean? But I think that those, like, there has to be a healthy balance between both where it's like, but I think also we need to bring back, like you said, the guy's family members were there gingering him.
Yeah.
No. We need to, no, honestly, I mean lovingly too, but we need to like actually start being honest with people so that, because it's, think about it, for him, it's to his detriment, right? And I know some people will argue, but that brought him joy, that brought him happiness, that brought him peace. But eventually he realized that it's not working. The talent is not, you know what I mean? And then truly also, there's some people that really believe in themselves so much that before you know, the talent will come from actually doing the thing. Before you know it, they will actually find the talent, and all of a sudden they'll start singing and you'll be like, I remember this guy who could not even do la la la. Now he's doing the baby boba boba. You're like, wow, okay, what's happening here? Right. You are really
right.
So that's the thing. I think just a balance with it. I think that the biggest thing, I think, honestly, is being self-motivated. I think that's a big deal, because if I say to myself, me personally, right? But and this thing sometimes comes with age, unfortunately. That's what's interesting. This thing sometimes comes with age, because me now, right? I have the talent. I'm doing this, blah blah blah. But if I try to get feedback, right? And there's zero. When I say zero, meaning like every single person is like saying the same thing, like. Because there's certain talents that can be learned, and then there's certain talent that you either have or you don't. Like being a contortionist. If I come at me and I start saying I'm being a contortionist and I start putting myself in a box, do you get what I mean?
How did your mind go to contortionist?
No, because I'm thinking of things that you have to have been training, or being a ballerina, or being a gymnast. These are things that you have to have been training for a long time. This is not you just wake up in the morning and just all of a sudden you're like, I have a talent for it. That's not how it works, right?
But what if you wake up in the morning and start training for it?
Yes, but unfortunately, at a certain age, right? It doesn't come as easy as you want it, and hence the reason why most of these things have age limits as well, because nobody wants to come and take the liability either. Of putting you there, you know. This is one of the reasons why, you know, but again, there's people who have. There's people who have come out and then they've literally broken the barriers. Oh, they say you cannot do that. This age, I'm doing it. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying that there's certain things that can be learned. Singing. I've seen people that could not sing, and all of a sudden they were trained, and all of us, the way they sing, I'm like, excuse me.
I think the biggest part of you know, the biggest takeaway from what you just said for me is the self-motivation part. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm always honest with myself and the people around me. I've always been extremely talented. I'm the multi-talented person. I'm that kind of person. Like at some point when I was younger, it was actually a problem. Like, you know, when you're like growing up and you're trying to decide what should I do, who should I be? I was like, do I want to be a professional basketball player? Do I want to be a singer? Do I want to be a dancer? There's dancing too. You know, like there are all these. Do I want to be a sketch artist? Do I want to be a 3D artist? Do I want to be an animator? Like there are all these skills that I have and I still use, right? So that's why, but I had the talent I didn't have until about 5 years ago. I didn't have the management part of it. The part where you're like, okay, I have a talent, but how do I make this talent work for me? How do I make this talent make a way for me? And there's a reason why there's this like starving artist stereotype. The stereotype happens because there's truth to it, because there's some truth behind it. And the reason that happens is a lot of people are just talented, but like you said, they don't have the management side of it. They don't have the, okay, before I blow up like Justin Bieber. Like a lot of talented people are just waiting for someone to save them. They don't know how to save themselves. They don't know how to ask themselves, okay, before I blow up like Justin Bieber, what can I do with what I have now? Right?
And when I blow up as Justin Bieber, what are the things I'm going to put in place?
What are the things I'm going to continue to put in place? Which is what's happening with Angel Reese right now. Back to Angel Reese, which is what happened with her right now. She's a basketball star, but she knows that that's not going to continue until after, you know, like she knows that is like, there's a deadline. There's like a finish line on that career. Yes. And that's why she's investing in so many other things, right? So that, because you have a lot of like artists too, who blow up and then lose it all. Again, it boils down to that management part of things. So for me, until 5 years ago, I didn't have the management part of it. I was one of those talented people who was always waiting for someone to save them, waiting for someone to give them a job, waiting for someone to give them a contract, waiting for, things like that, right? Lining up and with auditions and resumes and all that stuff, waiting for someone to see your talent and validate your talent. 5 years ago, I decided no more. Right? I decided no more, and I put my money where my mouth is. I invested in my talent to learn how to become a business owner from people who have no talent but have succeeded at business. Right? So I learned from a lot of people, sales coaches, business coaches, like different kinds of coaches, paid them thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars to learn that side of things, so that now I'm a more holistic human being.
But do you see that it's not their talent either? They learned it, and now they're making money off of it.
Right. Boom. That part.
So that's the thing. Talent is whatever.
That part.
You can learn a certain skill and ask yourself, how can I monetize this skill? How can I be better?
There you go.
And I'm also very big, and just to add to what you're saying, sorry, it's like, and then there's also the feeling of instant gratification too that this generation has, unfortunately, right? Where it's like, okay, now I've learned the thing. Now I'm doing the thing. Why is it not working out for me? Right?
That's where that belief comes in, though.
Yes, but that's the thing. But why is it not working out for me? But here's what I've come to learn also. Slow and steady wins the race. That's just the truth.
Bam.
Because the thing is that sometimes you see some people and you're just like, oh my God, this person has been da-da-da-da-da-da. The amount of work, of years that they've put in, you did not see that.
There's this saying, I can't remember what the exact saying is, but something along the lines of, every overnight success is like 10 years in the making.
Yes.
Or something like that. Again, it's that perfect. You have to establish that balance between belief, whether you're a jack of all trades or whatever people want to call you, belief and talent, right? And then fortifying your weaknesses. Because I know that that's one thing that I did personally. I took a candid and very honest assessment of where I was, who I was, what my skills were, and what my skills weren't. And the ones that weren't my skills, I took the time. Like I said, I put my money where my mouth is, and I acquired those skills. I acquired the business acumen. I acquired the sales acumen. I acquired the systems, like how to develop systems, like our podcast, for instance, right? I have a system. We have a system. Like when you look at our spreadsheets for how we, turn this podcast out there. These were things I didn't know about like 5 years ago. And over the past 5 years, I've been able to like come into that knowledge. And guess what? That knowledge is making room for me in spaces that
Absolutely.
Like these things are falling into my lap. I'm not even going to lie. Like there's some things that are falling into my lap now. I'm like, I didn't even know this person, but you're a celebrity and now I'm working with you.
Your talent will make way for you. But when your talent fails, you need to be able to actually know how to manage the business aspect of it. Because you can be as talented as whoever, Michael Jackson, Whitney, you can be as talented as anyone.
Yes.
But if you don't know the business part of it, you don't learn how to manage it.
Yes. I agree. I agree. And you said there's another saying that goes, your talent will get you through the door, but your character or something will keep you there.
See?
Something along those lines. And I think the character is where like the business acumen and all those things we're talking about comes in, right? So
because it's politics. Conversations are politics. Like you have to, child. You have to like.
So there's and this is one part. I know we've talked about this like in the previous conversation, but this one thing that Jubilee and I have sort of like a difference in perceptions where it comes to, and that's okay. This is why we get along, right? So the funny thing is I don't even play politics. But I feel like at some point you get to a point where you're so comfortable in who you are that you start to attract people who naturally vibe with where you are.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I get what you mean.
Because I feel like at some point you certainly have to play politics, but that happens in the process where you're just starting to get to know yourself.
Yeah.
Because when you're getting to know yourself, like you show up as different people, sort of, without knowing. These are like you don't know, it's just the thing that happens, right? You give up different vibrations, and so you attract a wide range of people. Think about what happens in interviews, for instance, right? They try to determine if you match with the company culture. They try, things like that, right? So when you don't know yourself, there is a tendency for you to attract or find yourself in spaces that don't really vibe with who you are, because you haven't really sat into who you are. And that's why I feel you need to that's where there's more of a need for politics, because now you're in a space that's not like, you can't be your authentic self here, because your authentic self is not what matches with that space. You know what I mean? But I feel like, and I haven't come to that place recently. I feel like it also comes to a place where you're so comfortable in who you are that immediately once you start talking to people, you already know the kind of people you can go into business with. You already know the kind of people you can collaborate with. Personally,
no, but that's the thing. Yes.
Yeah.
But the politics is removing yourself from that conversation. That's the politics of it.
Bam. Well, okay.
So the politics of it is not going into business. No, it's not going into business somebody you hate. No.
Yep.
Hello.
Yep. Boom.
But for example, if I decide I want to go into business with you, the politics comes into play when I go into the business with you.
Yeah.
Right. And we're just vibing and we have the same vision. And then you show me your assistant and I'm just like, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of politics here, because if I say what's on my mind with this assistant, and then you tell me this is my assistant, we've been this for 20 years. I know you ain't gonna fire that person. Do you get what I mean? Now I know you're never gonna fire that person. So that's where my politics comes into play, where it's like now I need to move a little different. When you're in the room, because your energy, I don't like it around my big ideas. So maybe I'll pitch my big ideas when you're no longer in the room. And then pitch my smaller ideas.
I feel that.
So that's where politics comes in, because it's
the
politics of it is like the politics is like figuring out people and where to put them. Because unfortunately sometimes you cannot avoid it. Because sometimes you can.
That I agree with.
Yes, because sometimes you can meet people that you're vibing off of, then you guys start working together. But the people on their team, or maybe just one person on their team, that you just don't, or you meet their spouse. They've been married for 36 years. You ain't gonna tell them to divorce their husband. You know what I mean? Now you're in business with that person, but you still, you and that person, when it comes to business, you see eye to eye. You're locked in.
True.
But then, unfortunately, at every event, you're gonna see their spouse, or at every event, you're gonna see that person.
You're gonna have to get along with them somehow. And
so that's where politics comes in. You can be like, oh my God, that shirt looks beautiful on you. And then like, let's go now. But that's where the politics of it comes in, because girl.
That part I agree with. Because I've just been in so many situations like that, where I'm like, or, like situations where there's like one person I really vibe with, and then the others are just like, what's going on? Or, on the flip side of that, situations where there's that one person you don't vibe with, but everyone else around them who seem to be saner, for some reason, continue to enable that one person. Like that's another one that I've seen.
Yes.
Where you have this one person who's like maybe the CEO of a company, and then everyone around them is cool. They're cool. They're chill, but they continue to agree with what this insane person is saying all the time. That one messes with your mind.
But you know why? I've come to learn some things sometimes.
Yeah.
There's some people that are very good at one thing, right? That's why they're with the company. And so everybody's just gonna sit with you, because that one thing, you're the best at it. Like you're so good at it that it's like, I will rather not try to figure out finding somebody and teaching that person and all that. I'd rather keep you.
Let them do their thing.
Because for me, when I recognize that I'm in the wrong space, is when I'm in the space and then everybody's like, oh my God, I just met Jubilee. Oh, she never speaks. She's so quiet. That's how I know. That's how even I know that I was around the wrong people. Because like, I've never really sat in a room with people who say to me like, oh my God, Jubilee is so quiet. Like even me, I'm like, oh wait, really? Yeah. Because even me, it throws me off guard, because quiet is not really a thing that I've ever been described as my entire life. So it's like when people say, oh my God, Jubilee is so quiet, so calm. I'm like, yeah, you definitely don't know me. For sure. Like, because that's a funny thing. So even growing up, my mom, with the people that will come to our house or my friends, they'll be like, oh my God, I don't know how like you train Jubilee. Jubilee is so quiet and so calm. My mom be like, my mom could not hide her facial expression. My mom's like, this Jubilee. And then they're like, yes. My mom's like, this one, my child. They're like, yeah. My mom's like, okay.
That is funny.
When they leave, my mom's like, what happened in their house?
Yeah.
What happened to you? Are you okay? Because my mom immediately is like,
yeah, she knows. She's like, something's going on.
Something's going on. So that's the thing for me. Like, no matter how, I always just show up as myself and do my thing.
Yeah.
Because sometimes some people say I'm very oblivious to the things that are happening around me. But let me tell you one thing it's not.
They don't know you.
But it's not even oblivious to it. Because my thing is always like, why? Why am I spending time worrying about how you're looking at me?
Right.
And you're right, because you don't know. Because I cannot.
Please,
right. Carry your negative energy and be negative. I will see my positivity all day long.
That's awesome.
Until you go to your house and then you be talking about me from anger of how positive I am.
Yeah. Right. Miserable people though. Miserable people. It's miserable people, you know. But you know what you just talked about, basically, that to me is what knowing who you are is. Where it doesn't matter what space you are, you hold on to who you are and you portray who you are. It doesn't matter where you enter, you're unconditionally who you are, pretty much.
You have to,
so,
you have to.
Yes.
Like, honestly,
absolutely.
and especially the older that you get, you just kind of like.
That part.
Seriously.
The older you get.
Like,
definitely.
You start to think to yourself, like, what is the problem?
Definitely.
Because I always remind myself, I'm surrounded. I have a spouse that loves me. I have friends that actually absolutely like love and adore me. And I'm like, what is the thing? What is the thing? Like, people who actually really know me know me. And you know what I mean? So I'm like, why? Like, why shouldn't I be myself in the spaces? And if you don't like me as who I am, and that's okay too.
That's okay. Like, we don't
all have to get along.
Exactly. We don't have to. I'm not your cup of tea. There's so many people out there who aren't my cup of tea either, you know? So, definitely, like, to your point, just to wrap this up.
Yes, I find myself thinking these days.
Today's episode, we talked to Chai. I find myself thinking these days, like, why will I let other people separate me from my happiness? You know, like it's not even about them. It's just like, I'm not going to let you distract me from all these wonderful things that are happening around me. And that's something that has definitely come with maturity. It's definitely come as I mature. I'm just like, what's the point? Like, I don't care who you are. I'm just not going to let you create interference between me and this happiness that's coming to me from my environment and my, the universe, you know. So that said, like, we've talked a lot today, and I expected we would, because Angel Reese is someone I really admire. As someone who's like age-wise older than her by a couple good years, I really admire her. I feel like she has a great head on her shoulders. And so I knew this was going to be a lengthy conversation. But yeah, you know, I feel like we're in the era of the multi-hyphenate. We're in the era, like, if there was an era where jacks of all trades thrive, it is this era. Because we have the tools at our disposal to help us thrive as people who have multiple things that they're passionate about. So yeah, anything you want to say to wrap up?
No, I just enjoyed the conversation for sure. And then like the more that I learn about her, obviously from you and learning all of these things and just seeing on social media, the more I'm very interested, because I love to see just Black women just thriving, man. Like, it's one thing that makes me so happy. I love, and I just love it. I just love to see Black women in spaces that people would never expect. Doing things that people will be like, oh yeah, but they're doing it, and they're doing it gracefully too. So she definitely has my attention for sure. So
doing it with her head held high, you know. So y'all, this has been another episode of the Two Naija Girls podcast. I am Cynthia, and that's my other Naija girl,
Jubilee.
And to wrap this up, from the Angel Reese herself, maximize your 24 hours.
Yes, please.
We'll see y'all in the next episode.
Very important. Maximize it.